Again, Gooners, I am back again with another issue of the Loose Cannon. I think it's number 40. I need to get a clapperboard. That's what I need because I can't keep pace with it. Or not saying it's pacey or anything, but yeah, I'll say no more on that. I'll tell you what I will talk about. The following. Oh, I'm going to get my... I'm in a bit of a state today, you might have guessed. I've got hay fever, right? That's my excuse. That's the agenda, right? Quick look. Right, that's your lot. Quiz question today. Who was the first Arsenal player to pick up the Football Writers Player of the Year award? I'll give you a clue. It wasn't that long after the Second World War. That's when the whole business began of giving out Player of the Year awards, and Stanley Matthews was the first winner of it. So who was the first Arsenal player to win it? That's the question. Right, the other question that we're all asking, of course, well, shall I start with that? The future of Robin van Persie. Obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson coming out and saying something about it, that he's actually put a bid in, derisory by the sound of it. That's a bit disturbing from our point of view. Are we going to get full value when Robin van Persie's only got a year to run on his current deal? Clearly, it doesn't seem like it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Robin van Persie because I've already done that in previous vlogs. So let's not waste too much time on that. Obviously, Manchester City and Juventus, the other two clubs interested. Interesting from that is it looks like Thomas Vermaelen is going to get the captain's armband, certainly for the Tour of Asia. Whether he gets it after remains to be seen, but it looks like his favourite. I would have given it to Mikel Arteta, as I predicted. That's why, I thought he would get it purely because he was the focus of FIFA 13, but you can't read too much into these video games, it seems, so he's not going to get it. Also, on the way out, of course, Nicholas Bentner, £7.5 million being the price, apparently. AC Milan and Galatasaray are willing to pay it, it appears. So perhaps if Nicholas Bentner leaves for £7.5 million, we're going to have a bit of money jingling its way into Arsene Wenger's pocket for transfer funds. Whether he spends it or not, that's another story, but he's suggested that if he does let players go, he will bring in replacements. And at the moment, it looks like we're not going to bring anyone in unless we let players go. Another player who could be on the move, Ryo Miyaichi, could be on the way to Bolton. He won't be going to Ajax, it appears. Frank de Boer and Mark Overmars, who are among the high-ranked backroom staff. Mark Overmars is director of football, I think, the ex-Arsenal winger. They've considered Rio and decided against it. So doesn't look like he'll move on a permanent basis. I don't think we're quite ready to cash in on Rio just yet, but he will be loaned out, I should imagine. And I don't think it's on a fortune in terms of wages, so it probably won't make a lot of difference about who comes in. But Nicholas Bentner, that's obviously another story. And we've not heard anything about the other players like Schillaci leaving. It's been very quiet on that front. But I will let you know as soon as I hear something. Obviously, we do need to bring in replacements, particularly bearing in mind that Jack Wilshere could be out until September or October with his ankle and knee problems. In fact, the club don't want to name a date when he's going to come back, which is pretty frightening in itself. Thomas Rosicky, he's perennially injured, it seems. He's got a heel problem. He'll be out for 6 weeks. And Bakary Sagna's got an ankle problem, I believe. I think that was the injury he sustained, unless he's got complications from it. He'll be back by the end of August. So makes you think we should be in the market for at least one midfield player and probably a right back as well. Whether we will actually do something about it, that's another story. But you would think we would want to sign a midfielder. And there's talk that Yann M'Vila, a player we are reportedly interested in, he could be on the move very shortly from Rennes. Negotiations are on, according to the French club, but they're not naming the interested parties. Hopefully, we are among them, because as I said, I think we do need to strengthen that position. Although, as I will tell you in a short while, we have got very good players bubbling under at the club already that we could thrust into the limelight, if you like. One player who has already been thrust into the limelight in terms of a possible transfer move to Arsenal is Paulo Henrique Ganso, who's 22. He's got a €50 million buyout clause. I've already told you in previous vlogs about that. Santos, quite reluctant to sell, I think, but they are resigned to it. He's got a couple of years or 3 years, because I've read differing reports on that, on his contract. as well as ourselves, Manchester United, Chelsea and Spurs reportedly interested, but Chelsea obviously close to signing Oscar, an international teammate of Ganso, so it looks unlikely that they'll make a move for Ganso as well. So pretty much a three-horse race at this stage, ourselves, United and Spurs all chasing the player apparently. I find it a bit hard to believe because I think he's more than 50% or at least 50% owned by third parties. I think we would be better off making a move for Neymar, his international teammate, who's got 18 caps, 9 goals, 20 years old. It'd be a great investment, but unfortunately, these third parties have already taken an interest and invested a lot of money in him. So, looking at the figures I've got, there's a company called TEISA, I guess you'd call it TESA. They own 5% of Neymar. A company called DIS that own 40%. And that investment is around about £13.5 million. So that's 45% of him. And they're going to want to make double that, you would imagine. So that would take it, just to own half of Neymar, we'd be talking about 27 million euros. So I can't quite see how we're going to be in the market for Neymar, as much as I wish it possible. It's just not going to happen. But one player we are apparently in the market for, according to reports from Spain, Graham Hunter, I think, the reputed journalist from Spain, has apparently said that we are very interested in the Malaga winger Santi Cazorla. I can never say his name right. Cazorla. He could be another Jose Antonio Reyes. That's what I'm afraid of. But he is older. He's 27. He's very small like Reyes. 45 caps for Spain and 6 goals. He would chip in with a few goals, obviously, in the Premier League if he could not step up but adapt to the Premier League, which, as we know, is difficult to adapt to. So perhaps we'd be better off promoting players from within, like Connor Henderson. Had a really good game against Boreham Wood. And, well, there was another player on show who I thought played just as well, perhaps even better, because he played for the losing side. That was Graham Montgomery, 24 years old. Probably a bit too old to be stepping up to Arsenal, but surely there's some league club out there that would be interested in him. I'll say this as a totally disinterested party. I wasn't going there to look at Boreham Wood. I was looking at our team, and Martin Anger played well for us, and 2 goalkeepers, James Shea and Damian Martinez, both played very well indeed, and they both of them deserve to be in the first team squad, I feel, and perhaps we can make do without a new goalkeeper. I wouldn't suggest it because I think we need some experience, but as I've mentioned many times, I'd let Lucas Fabianski leave and certainly promote Martinez or Shea, one of the two, or perhaps even both. They both look excellent to me. And Omar Reza, the ex-Arsenal player, scored the opening goal of the game with a header from a Montgomery cross. So you can tell I was very impressed with him. Goals came from Sanchez Watt from the penalty spot. Akpom, who's I don't know a lot about. He's only been with us a very short while. He scored a penalty. He caused some problems in an attacking sense. He needed a lot of coaching defensively. And Chris Olsen, who played in the recent friendlies down in St Mary's on the south coast in Southampton, he scored the final goal, and it was a good individual goal. So perhaps he's certainly deserving of a chance. I would play him in what are we calling it now? The Capital Cup or whatever, Capital One Cup. I'd play him in that. But yeah, he did okay. Anyway, I'm gonna give you the answer to the quiz question very shortly as I do my mini roundup of the fanzines. I'm not going to raid Steve Stammer's book anymore. Well, certainly not this time. Maybe next time. The fanzines. That's one of them. Quick Flash. Talking of flashes, this is Gun Flash, and that's got the answer to the question I'm going to pose you. And of course, my favourite, because I know the guys, the Gooner. Excellent magazine. And the highlight of this magazine for me, you know, it depends. Often it's Steve Ashford, the Highbury spy. This time, I think the highlight, I'm not going to spoil it by reading it all, and you'll probably get on my case if I did, but Kevin Witcher, he's highlighted this piece of text here. There is definitely a place for younger players in the first team, but by nature, they cannot be relied upon. Totally agree with Kevin on that. Young players are going to be they'll go 2 steps forward and then 1 back, and that's why we can't rely on the likes of the Ox too much next season. He did enough last season to show he should have played more first team games, but in this forthcoming season I think he's going to need the games for the experience, but I don't think we should put too much pressure on his shoulders, and we shouldn't expect too much from him. So please, if he doesn't play as well in this forthcoming season as he did in the last one, don't get on his back. That's my message. I love this one. This in the other one that should remain nameless. Up the A, I will say, because I don't want to have to put money in the swear box. Anyway, I love this. Can you read it? I'm not sure. I'm not very good at this kind of thing. I think it says something like "How to Win Friends and Influence People" by Andre Villas-Boas. Of course, at the time when they did this, they didn't know he was going to be the Spurs boss. So, bit of foresight from the Up the A team. And finally, to answer the question that I posed, this article from Paul Ackerman in Gunflash is in praise of RVP. Obviously, he's not getting a lot of praise at the moment, but picked up the Player of the Year awards, the Players' Player of the Year and the Football Writers' Player of the Year. But the answer to the question is in this article: who was the first Arsenal player to win the Football Writers' Player of the Year? And the answer was Joe Mercer. Joe Mercer, big favourite of mine. I remember him taking over the England team on an interim basis. I think Dom Revie had been sacked and he took over the England team. Did a great job. And I always wondered why he didn't become more of a manager even at that time. I think he was obviously involved at clubs and at various clubs in similar roles as caretaker, but never. He was a really laid-back guy, it seemed, and when he passed away, I was very sad to hear it. And obviously an Arsenal legend as our first ever Football Writers' Player of the Year award winner. Well, that's all from me for now, and as you can tell, I've got hay fever. That's my excuse for being a little quiet the last few days. Let's hope we're not quiet on the transfer market. And until the next time, up the Gooners!